Oh, yeah. Okay, welcome everybody. Today is May 4th, 6:34. It's the work session of the Westchester Borough Planning Commission. Today we have Alan Burke, Steve Mitten, Sheila Vaccaro, Matt Clapp. I'm Jim Cherry. Are there any announcements there?
There will be next month, another preliminary plan review for 615, 617, South Walnut Street. They have already submitted their application, have submitted their plans and everything else that's been sent over to consultants as of today, or excuse me, as of Friday. So I think the clock started on Friday at about 4 o'clock. I believe also that it is May 27th is going to be a special zoning hearing to get the decision for 36 North Church Street, which was briefs were submitted to the commission to review and finish up. It took a very long time. And read the 27th Street, and then we will be having the final. I'm hoping the final public hearing, final portion of the public hearing for Westchester University's master plan approval. That will be the 28th, Thursday, and it'll be starting at 6. I think we'll be hearing Mr. Nichols' last witness, and then we'll be having our consultants come up and speak to some of the issues. We're hoping to wrap everything up that day.
Very good. Okay. Any additional announcements? Okay. Any comments from citizens for items not on the agenda? Okay. Reports.
I already told you that the 27th is going to be the hearing for 436 North Church to make the decision. The zoning hearing board has the briefs and having vetting them, they'll come together after the discussion. I assume the discussion, voting, final decision, further decision that day. May 14th was supposed to be a zoning hearing for 244 East Evans Street. They're appealing a notice violation from myself, and requesting variance for a change of non-conforming use from one non-conformity to another non-conformity that is less than impactful. They proposes less than impactful. Criteria that has been, as of right now, they're requesting that that be extended until June. We haven't received a notice from them yet to make that, but we're assuming that that's going to be up to June, I think June 24th meeting for the zoning hearing board. I might be off the date.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Thomas is not here tonight for anything from harm. So I'd like to move, I guess, the new business up in front. No, it's just based on the fact that we have some consultants here. We want to make sure to keep everybody moving along here. So we're going to start with, and I'm going to reverse our order as well. So I'm going to start with 410 South High Street 3, which is the townhouse development. It's the third application for the 410 South High Street. And I guess I'll turn it over to you, Brian.
Yes, good evening, Brian Nagel on behalf of the applicant. We received recently consultant review letters from Panoni, RVE on traffic, and Thomas Committee Associates Planning. We will be submitting written responses to those letters. Obviously, we do have Pete and George are with me this evening, and we have John Anderson, civil engineer, and John Wishner, traffic engineer, with us this evening as well. just a little confusion on the number of units in at least one of the letters, and I just want to clarify that. There's 42 units. Obviously, you know, the prior proposals for the site were between 120 and 140 unit apartment projects. This is 42 unit, and there's 14 single-family townhomes and 14 two-family townhomes. So a total of 42 units, just to be clear on that. So I don't know if there's any specific issues or questions that you have initially. And then we can kind of go from there.
But I think what's important, just to take one step back and remind individuals, especially consultants, this is a response to a newly added use within the town center. That's a unified residential development, which allows for residential units. These are planned for sale, owner occupied, single and two-family units. So the whole block, we're really looking at that in a bigger picture, having a homeowners association. So the interior roadways are really a shared driveway, access to those garages, and it's not a public dedicated street. It's going to be, again, maintained and owned by the homeowners association. So just as a backup in the big picture, because I saw some of the review comments necessarily reflect that understanding. So,
And that's a good point. And also the fact that the internal drive aisles are just that, they're drive aisles and not alleys.
Right.
And that's kind of how it was contemplated by the ordinance.
sure. Now, there are three things that I had previously sent to Pete, and he's going to respond with those. And I'll just put them out there just off for a record. The first one was any architectural renderings or elevations. We have in our ordinance 112.916C1 requirement to provide renderings that shows their compliance adherence to the quality of the building materials, the scale. So I'll just say brick, street side stuff. Second was the height calculations, showing the height from 9743 B, which is again showing a section to a building or some type of elevation, shows the average grade plane at a building, and then showing how that height is met in that 45 feet. I don't think there's going to be any problems with that. I just think that that's information that has to be provided. And number three was we were looking for, and again, because this is really a shared drive and that access, we still though want emergency vehicles to be able to access through the property, primarily looking at whether it's an ambulance or a trash truck, whatever might be serving that interior of the block, a UPS truck, Amazon, whatever might circulate through there, just to make sure to proof out if there's vehicles that are able to circulate through. Just the templates on that site plan is what we're looking for. And I think those are the three that I had mentioned. But I would like to at least start, Pete or Brian, whoever would like to make a presentation.
I was just going to comment on what you were asking for, because just to fill you in, we're working away on the renderings and the elevations. And once that's done, then we'll do the height calculation and all tie it together for you guys.
Okay.
We're working away at it, so we
Okay.
do not have those for the meeting, but we fully intend on having those for you in short order.
Great. Very good.
On the turning radius, John, was any of that in our submission, or?
It was not included in the plan submission. We follow up with those turning movements. We'll provide all emergency services, box trucks for trash delivery and so forth.
And also, the county did also request elevation drawings, and they have been going back and forth with you guys. They have admitted that they can go as far as they can go until they get those drawings, but they'll make that submission by May. That's what they told us. They're supposed to have.
So that's the end of this week.
That's what I was told.
Are we able to put the plan up on the screen?
Should be able to.
Yeah, it's there.
Let me, pull this out. Do you have a particular?
Plan.
We're just the site.
Yeah, site plan, I think.
Do you want to go to the site plan? Yeah, I'll take us, I'll try to walk through some of this just to familiarize everyone. This is something similar to an illustration that we had early on. So not much has changed conceptually. It's very similar to the dimensions and everything that we had talked about before, but starting at High Street and Price Street on the corner, that's going to be a plaza right on the corner there. I know in some of the comments, Tom Comito was asking for some elevate, just some more information on what that would look like. So we're working on that. Patrick Stewart is our landscape architect. So we recently got those letters, so we're going to put all that together for an upcoming meeting. And then if you kind of going from the park in the corner, you come down, you have 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Those are all townhomes. So there's one family in each of those. What you have in the parking for those there's a 2-car garage in each one of those. Some of this may be obvious, but I think it's just better to give you all this detail. When you go into box, instead of previously we had a curb cut on Price Street, and then you had Boxwood Alley. Now what we're doing is utilizing Boxwood Alley. We're enlarging it. We're wide. There was a big pinch point in fact, I think it even shows there's like a telephone pole like right on the corner. And so I don't know the exact width of that, but we're going to take that telephone pole out with Pico's permission, move it, and then widen the road so Boxwood Alley doesn't have that pinch point anymore. And then you'd come up into the development, and then you get to 18, 17, and 16. So all those ones with a center muse in the middle there, those are stacked townhomes. So the way that works is you have one part, you have each, so you'd have like kind of like a story, you'd have like a story and a half, 2 stories of one single family residence. And then on top of that, you'd have another unit. So they're stacked towns, is how they work. And the way the parking works is each one of those 2-unit buildings would have their own garage in the rear. So when you look at it from the back, they look like 2 single-car garages. And then behind those garages, you'd have your second parking spot. So they park stacked behind each other.
Sure.
And then as you work your way up, then you have unit 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 30. As you work your way across, those are also stacked units. And then when you work your way over to Dean Street, those then become townhomes. So 28, 27, 26, and down, those are all townhomes. So just like on Price Street, 2-car garage in the rear. We see opportunities with the pedestrian use to really landscape that well. The corner public plaza will be, Tom Comita noted it's an opportunity for the gateway into Westchester. So we want to really work at trying to make that a significant space. We do have, you can see on the plan, we have steps that come out of the buildings. So you have, there you go. They would be steps and then stairs. We do have a lot of grade on the property. So in some cases, you might have 3 steps, in some cases you may have more steps, so they'll vary. So when you have those steps, we're not building retainer walls, we're actually building, it'll look like if the steps were, like there was 5 steps there, you'd have, it would look just like a taller facade. That's not a basement, it's just a facade, and not a retainer wall. So it'll present as a very nice facade on facing the street. Trying to think what else. We have, of course, the same exit on Dean Street. This is designed to be a two-way, like to have two-way traffic in here. So people can exit at both Boxwood or Dean Street. We think that gives the most flexibility to traffic and people exiting on Dean Street or Price Street, depending on where they need to go. Not sure, is there anything else? Am I in this? Oh, one thing I'll note. We have, we'll have some pictures of it, but we're thinking, it's listed here as a 4-foot wall. And then I forget the exact language I would describe it, but if you could take the cursor up to the left of the public park on the corner, the public plaza, right there is fine. So you'll have, we're envisioning, that's a transformer right there. And then to the left of that there'll be brick all around that, but it'll be a 4-foot wall with we're envisioning maybe we're not sure quite the height yet, but it's something you can see through. So I don't know if it's wrought iron or what it is, but, and then we'll have we envision kind of like a brick archway at where the sidewalk is, which has a metal gate on it so that it doesn't allow people to freely come in and out, other than residences or visitors, is kind of the concept with that. We haven't thought about how that's if we'd be how the security would work on that, but it's not fully a gated community, but we felt like we want to allow people to see in and see really well, but we just don't want to allow people to easily just walk through and cut the corner and just walk through.
Sure.
That was the idea behind that. And then the same thing to the left there. So that would again be that 4-foot brick wall with some type of wrought iron feature. We'll have some pictures and renderings of that or elevations of that in upcoming meetings.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's where renderings and elevations certainly would help. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna jump forward to the landscape plan only because it shows trees, lights, and some of the proposed brick sidewalks or finishes and stuff.
Yeah.
Just from maybe a little friendlier to look at and a better understanding of what's being proposed along this.
And Jim, let me just ask, Brian, you hadn't mentioned it in your list of consultant letters that you received, but I'm assuming you also have the tree commission review letter. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Patrick Stewart is the landscape architect, is attending the tree commission meeting. I think it might be tomorrow night.
It's tomorrow. Yeah, Chip is here too.
Yeah, so he'll be there Wednesday night to review the details of that and the review letter with the tree commission.
Okay.
Yeah, I invited Chip and then of course Kelly's here as well. So I'd like to hear from them after your presentation.
Sure.
On both of them.
Yeah, and regretfully, I'm not great on my tree discussion, but I do have.
We got checks.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Stewart laid this out. We tried to really think about how to think about the landscaping and how we could add as much green as we could.
Sure.
So.
Can I ask a question here? Because I have no idea. So there are lots of trees on here, but there's a number of what I consider street trees that would be borough owned. Are these borough owned? How does that
Well,
work?
they're within the right, I mean, they're like any other street tree in the borough.
Mhm.
I'm not, the developer's going to,
And existing structures are on place.
Right. So, and those are street trees. That's all I just want to make sure that those are street trees, whereas the interior ones are not street trees. Yeah.
correct.
Thank you.
And then, they're going to be utilizing solar cells to hopefully get better performance out of the trees there.
That'll be discussed with the tree commission.
It's discussed with the tree. It's on the drawings, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
We'll have a further detailed report on that next week after that meeting occurs. We don't want to
The
jump,
conversation.
we don't want to jump ahead
Well,
of
I
that.
saw some of the discussion relative to utilities. So,
Correct.
okay. Maybe we'll be at your meeting in March, so
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Can you get one day off?
Well, I mean, in the bigger picture, this is significantly more consistent with what we're looking for as a planning commission. It's in keeping with the scale and type of development that's immediately adjacent on that southwest end of the same block. So I think that's a nice continuity of scale and building types. I do appreciate that you've made a commitment to kind of move this direction. I think this is significantly better than the bulk of a building that we were seeing previously.
Before you turn to Kelly, why don't I have John just give an overview of his perspective on the Benoni letter with the understanding that no high level detail, John, just an overview of how that letter looks to you, and we're working on a response to that, John is. And then I'll ask John Wishner, same thing with respect to Kelly's letter, and then we can kind of go from there.
John, do you want to sit up at a microphone? There's empty seats over there with the. And if you don't mind, just say your.
My name is John Anderson, a BQS student with Tucson Consulting with Site Engineers Project. So we've had the, I guess, privilege or the ability to review the previous application that was submitted for this review of our building. We've also obviously worked on this plan submission. We understand everything within review letter. There are a couple of waivers that we are proposing as part of this, and also noted that we have to ask for an additional 2 waivers to site trials for the exiting movement onto Boxwood Alley, exiting movement onto T Street. But in a whole, we feel that we can comply with all the comments within Benoni's letter. There are a couple items that are design related that we would work with them on. But from a standpoint, a lot of the comments within Benoni's letter have to do with stormwater management. Just a quick overview of what we're proposing. Interior to site, we have 2 underground detention basins to fully comply with the stormwater management codes of the Borough of Westchester, and also NPDES requirements through Chesterfield Conservation District and PADEP. We fully intend to comply with all the comments within there and feel comfortable doing that. And with regards to pedestrian access, we will, to the best of our ability, work with them on providing pedestrian access. We're not asking for any waivers with regards to that, and we'll have a full detailed submission as part of the next submission of all of our response.
Okay, great. And I saw the 2 waivers of both regarding the.
So the 2 waivers that we actually submitted for in the packet, they deal with the proximity of the underground detention basins with next to the actual buildings themselves. So we know that the buildings, if they're provided with basements, there's a possibility they will or will not be. But if they are, then they'll be required to be full water and so forth. We do know that Benoni recommends we're asking for a waiver for separation of 10 feet. We're showing 2 feet. We put on these letters indicating that they recommend 5. We feel comfortable with 5 foot. We know we can comply with that, and we will work hard to push them further away from it. We have a couple of other ideas on how to do that, and we feel comfortable. So those are the first 2 waivers. The next one, or 2, I should say, are with regards to site triangles. Your ordinance has 2 sections for site triangle. One is 9727 F7. It requires a clear site triangle of basically 75 feet in each direction. So as we look at the Foxwood Alley interface, as we come down towards Foxwood Alley, the location of the proposed buildings aren't the only reason why we can provide that. The configuration of Foxwood Alley as it relates to the Dell, that configuration doesn't lend itself to be able to provide that clear site triangle. And also the next ordinance is 9727 F8. Now that requires a site distance. We have limited site distance as you're looking from the site towards Foxwood in the left direction, which would be easterly or southeasterly. We only have about 125 feet to the actual intersection with Price Street. We have the ability to provide that site distance, but the requirement is to provide 175. So we can't physically provide that. As we look in the right side direction, immediately almost outside, as we leave our site going in the right direction, northwesterly, Foxwood Alley turns into a Dell. So we're limited on our ability to provide that requirement. Then as we look at Dean Street, the one direction towards High, so we would only be looking at the clear site triangle, looking left, or call it south or something like that.
It's west.
It's west. Yeah.
West.
You get turned around. Anyway, so looking left or west, there are physical features from the adjoining property that will conflict with that clear site triangle. There's a fence there, there's a wall, and there's a giant tree in that location. And then this clear site distance, or site distance, again, we're impeded by the fence, the wall, and the tree. However, as part of previous applications, it was noted that the actual vehicle speed of anybody traveling on Dean Street or Price Street is significantly less than the allowed now. So we feel with the reduction in the actual travel speed, there will be sufficient site distance for people to make informed decisions on those 2 driveways.
Okay.
I know, John Listener of Consulting, been before you,
Yes.
previous applications, just to touch upon, in terms of the vehicle speed, very similar to the last application, we had an access on Price Street. When you look, you're exiting the driveway on Price Street, previous application, looking left, we needed 175 feet, but Price Street only went to High Street on 60 feet, something like that. And there were no through vehicles coming across the intersection, all right turning vehicles or left turning vehicles. Those are typically 10 and 15 miles per hour. And so that's a very similar situation here on Boxwood Alley. You have vehicles on Boxwood Alley coming from Price, coming strictly from a turn. So they're not traveling at 25 miles an hour. They're actually in stop condition, making a left. And by the time they make a left, they can be seen from there. And then the Dean Street driveway, there is some on-street parking. And I know John's site triangles and site distance is kind of taken back a little further, but just embrace that inch up a little bit to look for the park vehicles. We're not looking to eliminate or restrict on-street parking on Dean Street, but we do want to kind of show these vehicles to work with Kelly's office. If Remington and Burry felt as though there would be it would be advantageous to eliminate one of those on-street parking spots, we can talk to the borough about that. Again, we're looking to do that as really sort of balancing act.
Sure. Okay. And John, while you're at it, you've had a chance to review Ms. Goff's letter. Can you just give an overview from that perspective?
Yes, we received, Kelly Goff's letter dated April 21st. In general, a few plan-related comments, stop signs, ADA compliance, that is kind of more on Mr. Anderson's, plate. We talked about some of the site distance items that Kelly raised, which I think there were two more of those waivers identified since the submission. Really, from a scheduling perspective, Kelly had issued her letter to the borough. I hadn't seen it yet, and then 2 days later, myself, Ms. Goff, and had a virtual meeting because we still need PennDOT permits for the site. We don't have any access to no driveways proposed on streets. But one of the triggers that require a PennDOT permit is work, construction work. So we've got a lot of small things. We've got radii, box ramp, we've got street trees, we've got pavers, we've got utilities, things like that. So we had an opportunity to probably a 12 or 13 person meeting back on April 23rd to kind of hash out who's going to be the official applicant, and how do they issue permits, what's needed, what they're looking for. They did have some positive things to say about the plan. One of the things they did like was the elimination of the driver in Price Street, kind of combining access to box mount, access to just exactly. So, so then piggybacking to the RPE letter, there are a couple of comments in the RPE letter that have really since been addressed in that virtual meeting with PennDOT. But obviously still, because this letter was issued 2 days earlier, we want to give responses back to Ms. Goff.
Sure. Okay, very good. Yeah, just a little side note there. We do, with the site triangles, we have that issue with a lot of developments just because of existing conditions and scale and radiuses and so on, happen buildings up to corners. But I just want to point out that we also are including pedestrians, so visibility of bikers, walkers, dogs, whatever might happen in there. So even though traffic's only heading east on D, it's important that we maintain as much visibility both east and west. I don't know that the cars or not. That's a Kelly question, but we'll see the ones along the there. But just want to point out that the one will be on the go.
Understood and take the note. I didn't want to ignore it.
Okay. Kelly, do you want to address this as much from what your letter is possible?
Yeah, and Don had summarized some of my comments. There are some, I identified some outstanding items related to the driveway access, site distance, rental, science, that's comments that we received. So, I mean, please, sounds like the kind of addressments to that.
Sounds like
it's just waivers. That's it.
Okay. Chip, do you want to make any comments today or?
Just generally, and like the two things that has changed are they have three species in the plan. And then the soil volumes, increase the soil volumes in the street trees. That's all I'm going to say, but generally it's good.
Okay. Thanks. I'm going to say, because today's a working session, I am going to make sure to include public comment and conversation with that, so don't feel like that's not going to happen. But I do want questions back and forth, if I could, is just the initial one, the sidewalks that are inside the site, along this road, this side, is that stuff that's needed? I mean, I'm just trying to see if there's a way to green up the site, if we just, as an example, turn those into planting beds. As previously stated, it's really a shared driveway. It's not a public street. I'd like to see as much pervious coverage or as much green. I think it makes for the houses to sit maybe on the landscape bed a little bit nicer. I don't think, I'd rather, again, from access from High Street, rather just have a gated opening and allow the residents to be able to walk on the driveway. It's only a couple of houses. I don't think there should be nobody back here other than the two houses that live here, so it's not gonna be high traffic. But I would prefer this to look out on and see more landscaping, just as a thought. I don't know if it was something that thought was driven because of a requirement, but just personally, I'd like to see that. Or either if it was proposed maybe as Belgian block or as brick or as something a little bit richer, that would be
I
one
think
thing.
sidewalks are only technically required along the facade of the building, so obviously that would be the High Street side, Price Street side, Dean Street side.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think the ordinance.
Yeah.
Under the Unified Residential Development Ordinance, obviously, this is a Unified Residential Development permitted sort of as an alternative to a multifamily apartment building.
Mhm.
So the ordinance has its own design standards for a unified residential development. And I can double check it, but I don't think those would require the internal sidewalks.
Right.
So if you wanted to see those, as long as you don't have an issue.
No, I love the idea of putting some more landscaping in there. So I just want to like chat with Patrick
Sure.
Stewart and we'll kick it
Sure.
around, but
And that was just my opinion this morning.
uh, it's adding some green along there, I think would be much better than, I think personally better than a sidewalk. So
Alan, do you want to lead us off?
Well, I would like to, want to recognize, incredible original plan. Much more about the attitude of the borough. And there's still a lot, and I would agree with your list pretty much entirely. We need elevations, renderings, written response to all consultant letters. We need the height calculations, full list, waivers, and directions. Obviously, there's a lot. We could have to go all in all, an enormous. I just want to thank everybody involved, all the work, effort, time, all has gone into this. Big step forward.
Steve?
Second, everything that's said. It's the only one question I have. Exiting Boxwood Alley on Price Street, is that restricted at all? Is that right turn only? Is it certain times of the day, right turn?
There are no restrictions, any kind of turn restrictions of Oxford Alley from Price Street. One of the things that we did see when we had taken a look at the much bigger plan, 28 units, I think it was, things we were looking at was optimize the signal on the Price Street, ensure that queue on Price Street, and even with less units, it also still makes sense to try to optimize those signal lines. And by trying to reduce that queue, that allows the less instead of having that queue on blocks.
Thanks, Steve. Sheila?
I've had talks with the neighbors about this property and I've looked at the site triangles and the pedestrian issues around this area. I'm very happy with it. I'm concerned about the turn off of the alley there. because that's been brought up to me by the neighbors repeatedly. And I do sit at Price Street. I just think optimizing that would be necessary. And I'm concerned a lot about bus stops. These are going to house some families in there. So we're going to probably see some bus stops added to this area. And I think that needs to sort of be taken into account. There are pedestrian issues already on Price Street. And I just want to make sure we're doing absolutely everything we can to accommodate areas that we're talking about the school district and the bus company coordinating with PennDOT. Like there's way too many parties involved in this intersection, but right now there are very few families up at that location, and we're going to be adding them, plus the college kids, which that is a constant stream of university students, and now we're going to be adding elementary students. And how do we do that safely and responsibly? That's all.
Do you happen to know where the bus travels? Is it Dean Street or is it which street or is it?
So that bus is a Starkweather and Stetson bus. So it will probably be traveling on High Street. I know that they come over on Sharpless Street.
There's more than one bus.
Yes, there's a zillion buses.
It's not just one.
So many. And then they go on and on. And so, but that is districted for Starkweather, which would be down High Street. Yes, check school bus. Sorry, clear that in too.
Anything else, Jim? Matt?
I guess we mentioned two-way traffic, and I second, this is much improved. I think it goes without saying, this is much improved, but I will say it. I have a question. The two-way traffic, was there any consideration given to one-way from Boxwood through to Dean? And the reason I ask is because I agree with Steve, and I think everybody would agree, that a left turn out of Boxwood is just difficult for anybody that lives there already or that will live there in the future. And I was just wondering, the only direction, if it's one way all the way through and exiting onto Dean, the only direction that hurts people that live there is going west, and they can just go around. So I think you can make it in almost every other direction. I guess going north, you can't make the left on Dean. But the bottom line is the minor inconvenience for what I view as a major safety issue for pedestrians and for vehicles on Price Street. So I was just wondering if there was any, because I see the improvement using Boxwood, widening it. You're not having two driveways. That's way better than it was. And Dean is fairly easy to get onto. So I was just wondering if there was any consideration given the one.
And your concern is the safety of the left-hand turn on.
Anything coming out of Boxwood on the Price is right or left, quite honestly, because you can't see coming out of there that way. Looking west, you can't see. And then some cars come flying onto Price from high. So it's just generally a dangerous area, a bottleneck.
Maybe I would reserve just talking to our team about it.
Yeah, of course.
I'd be open. I'm not, if there's advantages to doing that, it doesn't, I'm not stuck with one way or the other. I think it's
okay.
John, do you guys have any?
Well, I think Mr. Black kind of said this as part of his comments. There are some maybe unintended consequences. So, routes that if you only can exit on the Dean Street, you can only make a right out of the driveway, and then you can only make a right on the High Street. And then there's that traffic travel, and then back, into the downtown area. There's some unintended consequences of that. I think we just kind of need to deal with that.
I think the overall view was the diversity of options for ingress and egress was better. And to the extent, as you know, there's times there where folks probably aren't going to go out Boxwood because it's too congested.
I hope.
But there are times there where it might make more sense to go that way than going Dean Street. So
yeah, I don't disagree. I guess I always thought that was more of an issue when you had higher traffic. This is fewer units than the other applications. So maybe that's an argument for two-way. I also see that as an argument for one-way as well, because you're not diverting a bunch of traffic onto South Walnut or anywhere else into the neighborhood. So I can see kind of both ways. I would like to hear, or I'm just asking to consider the one-way option, because I think overall from a traffic and pedestrian perspective, it'd just be safer. I do think there are some unintended or ultimate consequences of traffic going in different directions. I do get that. I'm not sure how the residents there would necessarily mind. I guess it would be frustrating on a daily basis. And I understand that, but also safe. So anyway, that was a question because there weren't arrows and stuff. So that was one of my first questions when I saw this. So I just wanted to make sure.
And I think Brian's point is a really interesting one, because if Price Street's busy, it gives them an option.
Yeah, it's a choice for sure. For sure.
And so
Yeah, and that might be the ultimate answer, but
it's not, or I don't know what to apply, but there's times when it's not busy.
yeah.
And that's just.
And in the summer you can see because there's no vehicles parked on Price. So, yeah, it's all, it does change. It does change.
John, is that something we can look at and address when we come back next week?
I think so.
Okay. All right, we'll do that.
Another general, and that was more of a specific comment. A general comment I had, because I heard Jim and Alan mentioned a couple of things that we require as part of the URD ordinance: site triangles, building heights, renderings. I was just wondering, and this is something I'd like to see going forward, because URD does have its own specific requirements, slightly different than some of the rest of the code. We usually have a area and bulk requirements table on the cover sheet. It wouldn't hurt. I know there's other requirements, there's design guidelines, things like that. Whether we had a summary table on the cover sheet with those, summarizing how this plan meets those requirements in the unified residential development, and or a narrative, whether it's the design guidelines are in a narrative, a short narrative, or it's a table on the cover sheet. But I think one-stop shopping for how this meets the requirements.
I think we would probably do a table.
And that's fine. I
Maybe
just
agree, John?
think that would help.
We'll do a table.
All right. Okay.
Lobbying for boxes would be one time.
And I know that's also probably, north. Yeah.
So, I mean, to me, just, I don't spend time in this case. But asking the therapists, what people want to type streets. Which is the safer. Actually, looks to me, like me, which is much less traffic. It's more dangerous because there's plenty of stop sign or something, I mean. And we're forcing people to. So this is what I'm asking. Is it possible we have some accidents or those two intersections?
Also to be aware, when you exit, it's south only.
Right turn now.
It's right turn.
Yeah.
If you come out Dean, you have to go south.
Right.
So that's really, it just, it starts dominoing down what happens with that traffic.
Okay, all I'm asking for is, would it be possible to we have access?
Right, and I think we have some residents here, so we'll be able to answer that as well.
All right.
I think it's fair to answer.
Can I jump in?
Sure.
I tried on council to ask for alleys to be turned into one-way alleys because I thought it would be safer.
Okay.
And I was told repeatedly that alleys in the borough are not one-way. There are. I have found them. I've marched around and I was like, this is a one-way alley. And they still don't want to listen. So that is a concern. Now, I use Price Street quite often. And I think this is definitely going to be a tricky turn, but the idea of everybody being forced to do some weird loop that they can never get out of seems awkward. Maybe we could put a light on Dean. I don't know, there are other things that can be done, but it's other things that would need to be done. And I'm concerned about the one way because I've been told repeatedly not to, which goes back to defining alleys. So let's go back to that. Another day.
To consider residents. Dean Street left only. And during morning after rush, that Boxwood Alley left. Think about how your residents would get north,
Right.
which is that way. Left street. Church Street going south. They could go Dean and make that quick left.
That's what they would do.
Make that quick right and left, that's precarious. It's tough, it'll be tough for your residents to go.
Yes.
So that's,
I wanted it
there's-
too.
Yeah.
It's better than it was.
Yeah, tough left.
I think we have two questions from, residents, but I'd like to get, Aaron to make a comment first, and then I will.
well, I'm not that. Sorry, that's all right. That took over a little bit, but that's fine. I did just, is there consideration for guest or visitor parking? Are they just expected to park behind, like where would guests and visitors park? Are they parking on the street? Because there's one spot in the garage and one spot behind the garage for residents. I don't see visitor or guest parking, so what's the plan there?
Yeah, they have to park on the street.
Okay, it's kind of what I figured.
Except in circumstances where residents aren't utilizing all of their.
Right. Yep, understood. Okay. And then my favorite question, which I'm going to ask every time, the utility lines on Price Street from the one pole that runs the traffic light, I believe. I don't think that's the pole. It's not the pole that's being relocated right at Boxwood. It's the one. It's the one kind of halfway up the block between Boxwood and High, and it has a few lines that go. I believe it runs the traffic signal. Google Maps. Okay. I had brought that up because that will allow, if we can get rid of that and the lines, that allows better trees. Well, I would think that, although you show some trees along along Price Street, but I think it would allow more, will allow for larger trees, essentially, is what I'm saying. So, yeah, if you just put the guy there. Just drove by it. Yep, that's fine. Go down twice though. Yeah, that line right overhead. That one. Yeah, that pole, and it goes to the, I think it goes to the PennDOT pole, but it goes to the traffic light, I believe. And maybe that street light, and or the street light. And it's the only thing that's on that part of the block that would present any issue for trees. So I think, Pete, we had talked about that. I had brought that up. I think you were going to talk to PennDOT or somebody about it. I don't know. I just want to reiterate. It'd be nice to get rid of that or bury it during construction so that we could get the trees in there that we want.
The intent is to have all underground, everything new. Underground.
Yeah. So anyway, just.
Find you.
Yeah, Matt, we would take it into consideration. I know when we were looking at the plaza before, where we had the large public space, there's room for a lot more landscaping. But let me see what's involved with that.
Okay, and we're showing 4, I think, fairly large trees on Price Street along that run. I don't know if they'd be inhibited by that at all, but it'd be nice not to have to worry about that, I guess. I think that's everything else that I had comments on are in the letters or have already been addressed. So.
Anything else from planning commission members?
I just wanted to bring up one note so the planning commission can understand it. Too. This is in the Goose Creek CMP corrective maintenance plan for with PennDOT or with the DEP. Right now, we are going to be starting phase 1, which we only have 20 EVs that are available at this time. This was originally scheduled for phase 2 of that plan, which would be available after we complete phase 1, which should be done sometime before school starts for WCU. At that time, there were 128 EVs that were originally set for this project because that's what the number of housing units that are going to be there in the future. This would be significantly reduced from that down to 42, I believe you said, individual units. That we do not know, we have to resubmit to DEP who have those that are there, but we don't know if that would be because of that, or if we'll just take that off. most likely read up, 80, some 86 or something like that. I'm not sure about before. Additional EUs that are allowed to be redistributed in that area. So I just want to make sure that when it comes to the sanitary sewer line, everything's going to be significantly lower than Goose Creek. And right now, Goose Creek treatment plant is not under any correction. It's just the connected lines that are to it, so lower and too small to handle the volume. This will help to reduce that volume somewhat.
All right. Again, today's a working session. I'm going to hear, I'd like to hear from residents, but if you could address, I really want the planning commission to hear the residents' comments. I'm not looking for arguments or debates or anything, but I want to hear what you have to say. And sure, we're trying to hear the best possible incorporated comments you might have. So, I don't know if you want to start. CJ, you want to start?
If you could please come up and see if you're going to speak, because we want to make sure we get you into the speakers, because complaints about people not being able to hear public speaker. No, they can tell me.
I don't necessarily have a lot because this is the first time I'm really looking at it, but relative to the things Matt was bringing up and the whole circulation, which was even discussed before, as you guys have all talked about, the thing that wasn't obvious, if you could go back to the site plan, because it's not shown, because it's off-site. What's really going to happen there, in a lot of cases, is people are going to go along the alley behind the residences on Price Street. Okay, at the bottom. Okay, when you come out. Yeah, see Adele Alley written out, right? I believe, Pete, you line up with that, right? Pretty much.
I'd have to.
But you could make a small right anyway. Out of your drive.
Yeah, I don't know. That's
But-
a good question. I don't know.
But here's the point, if
No,
it-
then look, you can see there. It's a little off.
little offset, but still, you could do that.
Sure.
Yeah, because the alley's two-way.
Here's the out.
I didn't know if Adele was.
Yeah.
No, well, Adele is two-way and Boxwood is two-way right now.
Okay.
Are you
Okay,
saying come out of make a right on the Boxwood and a left on Adele? Is that what you're saying?
that's what I'm saying, people are gonna do. And therefore, for the sake of safety, it seems to me that if the exit at Boxwood was restricted to just right out, it's particularly at least at some hours, because in the rush hour, it's just gonna be a bottleneck there. And it's gonna force everybody that wants to do any movement away from it. I mean, because people are gonna sit there for a long time. So I think that's the premise under which you have to study it, is how's that whole thing gonna work? Because they are public alleys. So I think this project, as well as our project, as well as just the general public, is gonna have the right to move through there and circulate.
Yeah.
So, but making a left onto Price, off Boxwood, to me, at certain hours at least, is gonna be an issue.
Sure.
Do you think that if it was backed up there, people would just naturally do that?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you live within that development, just like any place that you live, you're gonna learn those traffic patterns and times. And there's an exit without having to leave your property on the deed, without having to negatively impact the neighbors.
Well, the other thing is that they could go straight west on Adele, and then they could go north on Clinton.
Mhm.
Okay? But that just gets you to Dean.
Right.
And now you're coming back.
Right, you're just.
So,
moving right.
You're better off going west on Adele, make a left on Clinton, and then you have a safer entrance on
Sure.
Price.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Can I just ask, is Adele a public alley?
Yes,
Are we,
yes, it is 100%.
is it paved by the borough?
It's maintained by the borough.
Is it?
We maintain the portion that is our property, not personally, but
The community.
correct.
And Adele, on council, we talked about that alley repeatedly, and it was about paving issues, and
Yeah, the borough paves it
the borough paves.
and
Okay,
maintains, they plow it. Well,
we'll do that.
not always,
Like it was definitely a question, so I
but,
just want
but
to make
you
sure.
can see that
Mhm.
that's two ways. When you get to the top of the hill there, you can make a right, you can make a left.
Yeah.
The point I make is if you make the right, you're like in a never ending do loop and you wind up back at Dean and High and you're going back to where you came from.
You only do that once.
So it's just gonna play through the way it is.
Yeah.
But the argument I'm making, I think, is what Matt was saying. The idea of the left out of Boxwood is something that at least at some hours should be not encouraged. Let's put it that way. You guys might have said this before I walked in. I came in a couple minutes late, but what is this actually in terms of its legal structure? Is this gonna be a condo? Because it's pretty crazy the way you're gonna have to articulate ownership.
Oh, you mean the stacked town?
Yeah, well, the stacked and the
They'll-
fact that
They'll have to be committed.
you got footprints only and all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
the stack will have to be. That's what you're asking.
What about well, then the whole project would be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
There's gonna be a homeowner.
It's gonna be a condominium with a homeowner. That's what we are. I mean, I just, looking at it, couldn't imagine anything else.
Yeah,
Yeah.
one of the comments in one of the review letters, CJ, was that those, before final approval, those documents have to be submitted to the borough solicitor for review.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to clarify that because I did come in late, like I said. The only other thing I wanted to ask was on Dean Street. You had talked about not eliminating parking. See, not there so much because that's west of your exit. You exit right on the other side of that tree there. Right, that's where your driveway is. There's parking all the way down. That could stay. Is it planned to stay?
It's not our parking.
Okay, so you're not making any move to restrict that parking? Because with the right-hand movement, it's inconsequential to your sight distance. It's really to the left that you had any kind of sight issue, right? Agreed. Okay. And down at Price Street, there is no parking. So anybody making that right out that we've been talking about versus the left out, which is a little more precarious, at least we know there's no cars on that section at all, unless they're moving. The only other thing, Pete, if you could explain just a little better, because I don't know that I understood. You were talking about the articulation of some kind of enclosure / cover to the steps at the fronts of the buildings. Are they now inboard of the building and you're making that a
No,
integral component of it, or?
no, it would be like
They're gonna be
it would just be like whatever they require. It's like a 3-foot pad.
Well, yeah, but you seem to talk about it like it had a wall to it. And
No.
Did I
actually,
misinterpret
what
what
I was
you said?
Yeah, maybe I wasn't clear. Because there's a lot of grade change here,
Oh, yeah,
we're gonna, sometimes there might, like along High Street, we may only have one step as you work your way up towards Dean. But
Right.
when you get down to Price Street, you may have 5 steps. So you're going up steps like this, like if this is the front of the building and you're going up steps,
right.
you'll have a wall
It's the
behind.
Philly special, so to speak.
Yeah, but you'll have a wall. Basically, we're not building retainer walls. It's gonna be a brick wall.
Monumental step.
I'm saying behind the steps, you could have put like, it'll just look like a building which has like, 5 steps worth of brick behind it, which is building instead of a retainer wall. That's all I was saying. So we're not building
Right.
retainer walls here. We're
Yeah,
building
it's just a
it'll be
giant,
part of the facade, and then you'll have steps in the front.
it's just a giant stoop with some number of steps that come off at a right angle off the stoop.
We were left, yeah.
Right, or,
Yeah.
yeah, I understand. The the thing about this, about it being about 3.5 feet wide. I mean, it's gotta be at least 3, so I would think to
I'd
accommodate
say that's
railings and
about
things like that, you're gonna be
Correct.
close to 3.5.
The ordinance provides the stoops can project 4 feet into the right of way.
The new ordinance, right?
Correct.
Okay.
The ordinance for this.
The only other thing I wanted to ask, because I just haven't seen anything about it, the plans seem relatively moot, is the Norway maple at the drive entrance exit on Dean Street. It's pretty much right on the corner of our properties, and I mean, it might even be that the corner of the property is in the middle of the tree. Just, I don't, you don't have to answer me now, but I'm gonna hope that you're gonna do whatever you can to not cause it to die. Because it's kind of okay, the way it is. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it, the center of the tree is right there. And whether it's in the right of way, whether it's on my property, whether it's on this project's property, probably subject to some PhD surveyor getting out there and get crazy.
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
It is,
Usually it's-
it truly is.
I mean,
But,
that's what it shows on the plan right there, right? That little,
It's it right there.
yeah, and there's the you can see the canopy, you show
The
that.
drip lines way out.
Cleanly, so I'll ask the tree guys to stay all over this.
It must not have property.
It might even be in the right roll line.
Yeah,
it doesn't show on our property.
presently it's shown out in.
Right. So we just want to know that what's done on the property doesn't put it in jeopardy. And like I said, I didn't have much at all because
Think that'd be a tree. Okay,
thank you.
CJ, thank you. Sir, yeah, right. Any desire to contribute conversation or questions? Yep. You don't have to. Yeah, just ask. Okay.
I'm just trying to take you.
Appreciate that. Darryl?
Darrell Cook, South One Street. I'm curious, how big of a moving trailer will be able to get into the complex?
What's the question again? Sorry?
Will a 38-foot moving trailer be able to get on site?
I think next time they come, they're gonna have the turning template, and that's gonna show it. The good thing about the driveway is you're not restricted to a 12-foot carway. You're able to turn and use the full width of the drive. They're gonna have to demonstrate all those curves, including how they're parking the cars. I think everything.
I think you just have to specify 2 straight job trucks.
And I'm curious about the trash. Will it be a dumpster or totes?
There's no, they would be totes. There wouldn't be a trash. There's not a central trash bin here.
Well, in that regard, where would the internalized, I don't know, is that 6 or 12 instead of 7?
So there's 12.
12, right?
Yeah.
Right, so it's 12 units. Where would their trash go and who would pick it up?
Well, a trash truck. Well, I'm not sure if it's the borough picking up this trash or it's private service.
I think it stayed on the property, be a private service.
Yes.
Yeah.
They would hire, the homeowners association would hire third-party trash service, and the trash truck would drive through here and pick up the trash from every.
So a third party like that can right size the trash truck, so it could be a smaller trash truck, and then they can coordinate with the locations of their totes and that types of.
Yeah, but I don't see that happening.
It's,
Because the trash truck is not going to pick up for the individual.
it's not gonna be borough trash.
I heard. I don't know of any private hauler that comes with a truck that's gonna stop on High Street, stop on Dean.
Oh, no, I'm expecting them to come into the development and pull the.
Put everything to the back.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct, everything to the back,
driveways here.
And you're gonna show with the turning template
Correct.
next time that that's what we do. Okay.
The expectation is it's a standalone community, it's a shared driveway, all the services are provided through the road driveway. It's not to negatively impact the neighbors. Go ahead. Sir?
Dawn LaRue. I live on the northeast corner, Church and Dean. And my garage empties onto Dean Street. So I have a choice. I can go either way on Clinton Alley, or I can go up to High Street. Depends on where I'm going. And I wouldn't take Clinton Alley if I wanted to go north on a bet. And I therefore rather like the idea of not allowing people on Clinton Alley to turn left. The problem with that, though, and I have no answer for it, is that people, if they come out onto Dean, have to make that dog leg onto Magnolia if they want to go north. Now you're shoving traffic onto Walnut, which is always crowded. My second concern, and I don't know how to suggest this be solved, but without visitor parking, and you would likely say that, oh, they'll park on the street. Well, where on the street? Right now, it's permit parking. You have to have guest passes, and the borough has already made it very clear that they're not going to, unless they change their minds, allow permit parking or guest passes for anybody living in any kind of development on this property. And what with the university and the non-university people who have to park on the street, I have no idea where you would put visitors. And believe me, people have visitors. So I can't offer any great wisdom. I just think that there are problems here that need to be very, very thrashed out, very vigorous, to put it that way.
Dawn, can you, you said you live, is this where you live?
Northeast
I'm trying to
corner
understand.
of Church and Dean.
Okay.
I'm kitty corner
That's you.
from the Claude Rains house, if that helps.
Yeah, we got it.
I'm just trying to understand the
Well, I
thought.
can't
I'm just trying to
orient
understand the
myself
thought.
that quickly.
She was talking deep, it's ignored.
Crossing
Pushing
to Magnolia, across High School.
Dean High.
Oh, it's here.
You know, trying to look.
That's
Yeah,
how you get out.
that's how you get out.
Shoot about Walnut.
It's got a reputation. Huh?
It's on the record.
Well, my garage, is parallel practically on Clinton Alley,
Sure.
north of Dean.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I back out onto Dean Street. And I mean, I have this, the choice depending on where I'm going,
Sure.
but to get north out of the proposed development is not going to be fun.
And just so I understand, you were saying if you go down Clinton towards the issue of going down Clinton,
If I go down Clinton to the south, and I do sometimes to turn right, if I have to go to the east, I would never, ever go down Clinton Alley and try and turn onto Price.
all right, so you're saying, so just so I get my orientation right, so if you need a left out of Clinton, it's very difficult on the Chris. Got it.
Yeah.
But that's what I was saying, most people I think are gonna wind up doing, because it's better than Boxwood, but as Dawn's saying, it's still not good.
Right.
Still not good.
It's really not that much better because you got cars on both sides. You can't see. So I wouldn't call it better. It's just further away from High Street. It's not safer.
And if you wanted to go, take Clinton Alley, you're backed up, you turn into Clinton Alley and go north.
Yeah.
As has been pointed out, now you have no choice but to go east on Dean. And if you really like to see the borough in all of its glory, well, you can just continue on and then turn west on Union and then figure out all sorts of fun places to go.
And I will note just because I don't know if everybody remembers, but back in because I made a note of it when I was reviewing these plans. In December of 23, the PC recommended that to Borough Council, that the borough consider making Clinton Alley a one-way north. That was in a letter from Jason Burrow. So anyway, it's something we keep discussing. Every time we look at these plans, we talk about the alleys. There's no perfect solution, but I think pedestrian and vehicular safety has got to come first.
Clean up.
Yeah, and clean up I mean, that's a narrow alley. That's a tough alley no matter what. It's not really wide enough for two-way traffic. People fly in going north, trying to come south. It's tough.
You have to pull in to the development on the one side or sidle up to the garage.
Right.
On the west side.
And I think that's why we were suggesting considering a one-way with appropriate signage and stuff. So
Now, the only thing about that is, if you do that, you wind up with Dawn's calling the grand tour.
I understand.
Because
You know,
at best you go over to church,
Yep.
down the price, and then you can go to high.
those cars got to go somewhere, and they can go on price. I mean, there is no perfect solution. So I like the town, so I don't mind a little tour, and I get it, or just walk. But I do understand. I do. There's no perfect solution with the way.
I mean,
the
I
streets are.
think what is good is you have the option of either price or D. I think you learn that lesson a couple times, you go into D, that's all. I don't know why
Certain times,
I don't know
yeah.
why you go out there and sit at an intersection.
If you look at the Google Maps, that's a pretty frequent car lineup, which means you're gonna end up blocking Price Street more often than not, trying to come out of that and scoot up. Like, look, you're like, oh, they're gonna move, and you pull out, and then your car's gonna be in the middle of Price Street, and then you're gonna end up with cars backing out onto High Street, and it's just gonna happen. It's gonna happen with what we're doing right now.
Especially when the trash truck's back.
Mhm.
Yes. You said.
Could you describe where the garage doors are? Are they flush more or less with the?
Well, that's a good question. I would defer to when we finish designing the building. They may,
Yeah, we were requesting a little bit of a top back.
And how many cars are in each of those rectangles? Two?
Yeah.
Two inside?
Correct.
Okay, well, let's be fair to the process. What's gonna happen, and that group along Beach Street is really a problem. Because of the depth that you have outside the garage. Because, let's face it, when these guys can't park, they're gonna do it with the people in our building. They're gonna just leave the car outside the garage. And open the garage door with the automatic opener, and go in the house, just like they would if they were in it. So that group there, you can see, doesn't have.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
not sure I understand.
The individual townhomes have a two-car wide garage door. So
Yeah.
it fits two under, and then there's only 10 feet behind it, which is really only intended to make up the,
You say that's one unit.
this is, yeah,
You also-
that's just one unit. It's one unit that has.
They're all town, yeah, those are townhomes and they have a two-car garage.
Yeah.
So, I mean, all the things in the center, not on price, not on the, those are the steps.
Correct.
Right? Okay, so what you're saying is the townhouses, they will get two cars inside also.
Yes.
So the likelihood of them being outside their garage is less. It's probably not gonna happen. Because they're two families. No, there's only one.
That's
Only one on,
not those.
on Price and D, there's only one family.
Okay.
On High Street and in the courtyard, there's two.
Yeah. But
These are two families.
okay.
I have one question just to satisfy my curiosity. The Burger King currently has an exit on High Street, and has always had that. Aside from design considerations, is there any reason there could not be an exit or an entrance off High? I mean, does PennDOT say you can't do it? Have they changed their rules? And I realize your design does not incorporate that, and none of the proposals that you had have used a High Street exit. I'm just asking, is there a specific legal reason why you haven't done that?
I don't, John, I don't know the legal reason why.
Yeah, there's no restriction by PennDOT in general for access to high streets, you know. A lot of the previous plans for showing access to price, access to D. So we haven't approached PennDOT with an access directly to High Street. I think it was kind of discussed earlier about that dogleg from D to High to Magnolia, and if we reduce another drive down High Street, there could be some conflicts with a lot of those dogleg job movements.
Well, but that driveway into the Burger King property has been there since the Burger King was there, and that dogleg has been there almost as long. Used to be able to turn left.
And yeah, and all I can say is, and whether that was 30 years, 35, 40 years, you know, there are some changes in PennDOT's philosophy as regards to like access management and trying to control access.
Just wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom.
Roger Partridge, Price Street. Just want to beat the dead horse about the traffic. I think that from using that intersection of Price and High frequently, that the light idea is not going to help enough, and that you've got to do a right turn. And you could take a left down Church. You want to go south, or you can go the way. And a comment on the one-way idea. In my experience, residents believe that if it's their street, they can go either way on it. And the third thing is that, to me, entering High Street other than at a light is terrifying. So I probably used that Deed Street onto High once, maybe twice, and vowed to avoid it at all costs. It's bad enough when you can go straight across and hope that you don't get hit or honked at, but to have to turn and go left immediately, it's crazy. So I think that your only hope is a right-hand turn on, and maybe it can be at certain hours, but pretty much the cars are at least slowing so that if you take a right, you've got a shot that you're not going to get creamed. I think it would be very unusual. If you take a left, you're going to run into a light. It's just, I can't believe it. And I would say that this is so much better than the other one, even though it's got some issues, that it was very clever to do the other one first and then present this one. Everything that might be a problem, like the guest part.
Thank you, Roger.
Well, I guess something had been talked. Gunnar Mossberg. Early on, I believe you talked about possible basements. I assume all these car garages are going to be ground level entrances. So you're going to offer to build a basement below that?
No, typically what happens is we're not 100% sure, as Peter indicated, architecture's just being initiated. We're not 100% sure if basements are going to be included or excluded. But anything underneath the garage would be a slab on grade. And then as you proceed into the building, there could be potentially a basement underneath that. We're only answering the question of stormwater management.
Yeah. Well, that was
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, you can build it, you just it's steel and expensive.
Oh, of course, I know it is. No, I know.
So it's not really practical, to your point.
No, that was, but I didn't know if it, maybe part of it just behind the garage is gonna be, offer a little sliver or something like they do downtown Philly or whatever. So I was just curious and hadn't been elaborated on. Sure. This other conversation. Thanks.
Thanks, Governor.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. All right, so, again, hopefully we have a little more, next week, a little more information collected and, more time after the tree, shade tree, as well as, any additional friendly radio area and anything you can address from tonight's comments would be
Sure.
very helpful. But yeah, I think, really appreciate it. It's a great improvement. I think, homeowner occupied, residential development of this size, I haven't seen in a while, not since Shannon. And then, and so it's a nice, nice add. I think it's consistent with what the comprehensive plan called for. And I think it's consistent with what we're looking for as a quality development. So appreciate the, presentation and the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Seems good.
There was something earlier about Wednesday, what's happening?
Street tree. Shade tree commission.
Oh,
You're welcome to attend that too. Okay.
so next week.
Next Monday, it's a voting session. Thank you, Jim. Kelly, thank you. Thank you, Kelly. Thank you, Brian. See you.
Thanks.
See you, Pete.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
George, thank you. And John's.
Yeah.
Good job.
Okay, very nice. Now, on the agenda, we also had a new ordinance being proposed for data centers. Tom, can you, I'm gonna just stick with new business forward.
Did everybody get a copy? Okay.
I just answered for.
I think you probably know that data centers are all the rage. So we got direction to draft an ordinance to permit them in the industrial district. Most of the ordinance provisions are technical in nature, about noise, some other items. Benoni has weighed in on all those provisions. They provided the noise standards for data centers. They also suggested some of the increased setbacks for data centers. So I think it's fair to say the council would like to move this along as quickly as possible. So if you could be prepared next week to make a recommendation on this ordinance, that would be appreciated.
I will email this out the other day. Because I took it off my email. So it's not on the agenda. I think already Kristen may have sent it. So
Yeah, she did send it out to the group.
Yeah.
It's a 15 pages. So I guess I had a couple questions that, we can entertain this here. So, I mean, I know East White Lake, approved one, and there's a lot of feedback on that. I think we're really talking about just this area down the southeast corner, right?
Correct.
And which is presently 8 Lee Pile and 610 Hills, which is Eli Khan's property.
Yeah, yes, it's in the ID district.
Yeah.
Industrial district.
Yeah. And, what's Eli, it's about 29 acres or something there. 30. And this is the flood.
that's the point.
Okay.
Oh, his property very little. Or and they got by vegetables.
They do.
Yeah.
And I also forgot to mention that both Chester County Planning Commission and the Montgomery County Planning Commission drafted a guide to data center ordinances. They didn't actually draft an ordinance, but they basically issued a memorandum with all the different topics. And many of these provisions come from that sort of model.
Set out.
Correct.
It's just for us to review and they'd like us to move it forward next week. I think, so if we have it.
You hear about these things. 85 football field, Jersey. Even though this is substantially larger than I think. Do they really make data centers? You know, in this small size.
Actually, they do. There's
They do.
basically two types. I'm sorry, Tom.
No, that's all right. They do make them in smaller sizes on smaller properties. I mean, the ones that you're thinking of, down in Northern Virginia and New Jersey, they're huge. But for example, we know of a small data center in Chester County that nobody really knew was there. But it is a very small property. So whether it's cost effective for, there's essentially 3 large companies that do these. And whether it's cost effective to do it on a smaller property, I can't say. But
in general, I'm saying it's got a fact.
correct.
The big issue is that we're on a specific grid. I can't remember the name. PJM. PJM. And electric grid. And it covers a number of states, I think, from upper North Carolina over to Michigan and a little bit of Wisconsin, maybe, or into Ohio. Not 100% sure. It's a number of different states, including Virginia. I believe Virginia, they state has something like 40% of all data centers in the world that were built right on development in Virginia. The problem is that anytime it doesn't have to be built in our area to cause prices to go up or go out of whack, just like the United States. But we wanted to, you can't deny each of the groups, like this state said you cannot deny the use of this. But we wanted to get ahead of it and make sure that before this becomes something which is breaking of all area, that they can't take, go to traction, move across the floodplain and fly to the other places to be able to do this. Now, restricting it to just those 2 areas, kind of making it less attractive for zoning for what we would like not to be here.
Well, I think in summary, it's like any, new uses come to fore, which the zoning ordinance never contemplated. So this is a relatively new use, at least in this area, and we want it to be regulated as soon as possible, without saying more.
I'm all for this being regulated as quickly as possible. But I want it done correctly. Can I ask a question? I've been in buildings in Philadelphia that are abandoned and they were called data centers, but they're buildings in Center City. Is that not this?
I don't know exactly what you're
Yeah,
speaking, but I, as I said earlier, there are small data centers. I mean,
Right.
They're basically servers, computers, storage units. I'm no computer expert, but so I would imagine I know they can be of various sizes.
Yeah, I mean, these were very large buildings. And I just want to bring this up because there are buildings in Philadelphia that I believe they were called data centers when I was there. I don't know if they fit this exact. You're right, but they are just abandoned. They used to be business offices and the tenants didn't, and But you can rent out the space. So I've been to like luncheons there because it's empty. So you can go in and have a party or talk or whatever.
Is it common?
Yeah, it is. There's like weird spaces you walk through and you're like, that's so bizarre.
I'm sorry.
Just that this is a dicey business. That this has, the AI stuff has the characteristics of a bubble, and that's driving a lot of this. And the thing is that everybody's trying to build data centers, and populate them with equipment, which is not available very much anymore. Really shortages, several dimensions. Because that's what the software today requires. The software is going to get better, and the demand may grow, but the size of the data center is going to retract it. And so your big, besides, I mean, I don't know that it isn't possible to build a neighborhood-friendly data center where you're projecting it. But there's also the risk that you're going to wind up with within the building, 10 or 20 years. They're just going to walk away from it. We do clean up.
Well, the ordinance has decommissioning requirements.
Yeah, well, bankruptcy can take care of that.
Exactly.
No, I mean, I understand the requirement to have all uses in every municipality unless you're in a joint municipality. Do we have a catch-all? Do we have anything that doesn't fall in one of our present uses, should end up in the ID?
Yeah, I don't know the answer.
I'm just wondering if we should add that while
We should.
when we put this down. So if there's, because there are areas that Carlson had, just could make something up, like a solar panel field or something. It's not necessarily gonna make any sense in the borough, but I mean, or giant antennas, or just anything that falls in as required use, it would be then required to fall into the ID. It's just,
I have some other specific, I mean, commercial use not represented on this list, fall under conditional use.
Right.
Special exemption.
whatever you think protects the borough best.
And
Okay.
what they do at that point, just make it, the commission council. And those uses. I think, deal with it.
And if anybody I brought several printed copies.
I didn't realize it was 15 pages worth. I was reading it and I printed it. I was like, wow. What happened here? That was 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will tell you that the noise that we talked to it really was. A lot of what we're doing with noise here, we're gonna come back and redo the noise ordinance for the entire borough. A lot of it is still usable. And it's very simplified, non-technical, where you, like someone like myself or someone from our office, spend about an hour with an individual to get it with the equipment and they'll get us certified within an hour, being able to do the actual noise sampling and so forth that's needed, and how to properly document it so that it sounds like a court. So that we're going to take a lot of what they did and then put that more into ours because they reviewed our noise ordinance and said, hey, you need a lot of work.
Thank you.
I think the other part we should make sure to add on those ordinances, generators, emergency generators, any noise level EBS.
Because one of the things is these data centers create a large amount of vibration. And mainly that comes from the equipment inside, but more so from diesel generators. So I think on some of these that are only in 25 acres, there's one that's being done, the one who's looking at 25 acres, and they had 47 diesel generators on the property. And they had, I think, almost the same number of air chillers to put in air conditioning. So both of those pieces of equipment that run create vibration. So it's leaving the property, what's at the edge of the property. There's a whole bunch of things, definitions of short bursts of sound, and consistent sound, humming sound.
Well, when you get diesel generators and stuff like that, there's air pollution.
Yeah.
All sorts of other environmental issues.
The big thing that we were waiting on was, because the original thing they sent us that was done, from the plan features had something in there so complicated that not even the experts could understand. To call it PhD level person to understand it. I was thinking much easier, much straightforward.
Okay, we'll do that.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're gonna hop back up with update on removal of 97A 1919.
Bill, take care of it. No, that's, and so I think that.
Update on recreation space for community. Is there anything you're doing on that time?
The last time we talked about this, which was probably a few meetings ago, I think I was told to put it on hold, but I'm not sure why. So if we're ready to move forward with this, I'll work with township and drafts.
We are,
On this, on fee and loan ordinance,
Yeah,
at this point, Sean was saying that we have so many other ordinances, at this point, we need to get those done first before we take one more. That's why this was put on.
maybe that's the reason.
keep it on your back burner.
Whatever you want me to do, whatever
Like
the
to-
borough wants us to do.
Okay, fair enough. Was like, Aaron had previously mentioned Westchester University Master Plan. So through that second meeting, then the third meeting on the 20th.
Hopefully the last.
Did you watch that one by chance, Al?
No, I read it, and
Okay,
before the newspaper.
well, they gave the name of, the doctor in charge of, Michigan. I'll forward that to you. Enrollment,
Wrong. Well, they had,
the person.
they had all that information surface, I thought was tremendous. Tremendously helpful.
Yeah.
And the other thing that struck me was acceptance rate. 78%. I mean, I can remember what we talked about before.
Mhm.
50s.
Mhm.
So, you know, there may not be a lot of students that have the interest to go there, maybe a problem to solve and stuff. I don't know. I do feel strong there. And I think there's some awareness. Population, you know, that it sounds like this is the moment to request student on campus housing, because if we don't, it's never gonna get talked about.
We're in conversation.
Hard.
Yeah, I was,
Just when I was had done my research, right in this. They made, they looked at the issue. So, I mean, I don't know, it's really kind of.
sure. It is nice to see that housing is applied.
Yes.
Okay. Preservation Initiative, Thomason's not here. He is in conversation with the developer to see if we can't kind of work through with some sketch plan initial stuff. So we might be able to have almost a real life example walk through it again to try to implement some of his pieces prior to it actually becoming ordinance, but just to kind of walk through how realistic or how viable the project might be. Side yards.
Oh, yeah, there should be.
Where
Which
is
is just, keep going down.
down, down, down.
That's regulation. 5E,
Okay.
Yeah, and this is slightly updated from the last time we talked about this. I know Tom Esty had mentioned you should take a look at the side yard definition just to make sure that we understand what it says, first of all, and then does it address twins was one of the questions that Thomas had brought up, especially in NC3, because I proposed a 10-foot minimum side yard flat without any reference to existing adjacent. That could have hindered the construction of twins or not able to address twins in those areas, and there are twins in NC3. So bottom line is, this is the definition of the side yard. I noted underneath in the saldo, there is a missing word. So I just want to make sure the side lot line is missing in the saldo definition. So Aaron, I'll send an email, but I think that just needs to be updated to match, because otherwise it is a little confusing. But the definition is a yard extending the full depth of the lot along the side lot line, extending in width from such side lot line to the building setback line. I think this definition and looking at side lot line and street line and rear lot line, because it's one big circular definition where they all refer to each other. But the bottom line is, I think this does address twins. They're just side lots of 0 in the case of a twin. But the bottom line is, if you scroll down, I went ahead and did just kind of revise the proposals a little bit. The one for NC2 remains the same. So if you go down, just keep going, you see it. So, sorry, back up here. I'll take it. It's easy right here. So this proposal stays the same. It seemed like everybody was okay with it. And again, just to back up, I'm sorry. The existing definitions or side yard minimum requirements for NC2, NC3, and the commercial services district are unclear. They're side yard minimum, existing, adjacent, 10 feet minimum. We had a comment maybe a year ago now from somebody in the HARB that said, how do you apply this? What does this mean? And we couldn't come to an agreement on what this meant. Existing, adjacent, 10 feet minimum. Tom took a crack at it. Thomas had a different opinion. We all could read it multiple ways. So the point of this exercise is to try to clear these requirements up, at least in the short term. And these might change as we implement a preservation ordinance, as we review other ordinances as we go along. So my proposal for, this is NC2, was to take this and make it a little clearer. 10 feet or the side yard minimum would be 10 feet or match existing adjacent side yard if existing adjacent side yard is less than 10 feet. So you can go below 10 feet if the existing adjacent, and that could include twins. But I'm not sure you would need to apply it to a twin, but you could. There are other requirements for accessory structures and things like that that also govern where you can place them in a yard, for example. But this is, I think, the most appropriate version of what we already have for NC2. NC3, I did the same thing because it's the same current requirement, existing adjacent, 10 feet minimum. Before I just had 10 feet flat because these are high density neighborhoods on larger lots adjoining NC1 and NC2 lots, which are lower density. So I thought a 10 feet buffer, just minimum period flat would make sense. But then Thomas brought up the idea of twins and other potentially what we would call non-conforming lots, non-conforming with my proposed minimum. So I went with the same 10 feet or match existing adjacent if it's less than 10 feet for clarity's sake. And then for commercial services, I actually didn't change that. That was just 5 feet. I couldn't figure out existing adjacent 5 feet minimum for commercial services. I just figured 5 feet minimum was appropriate. They could go more than that if they want. If they don't, they can't go less. So those are my proposals for the 3 districts where the side yard minimum is unclear. And so I just slightly revised, really just to address Thomas's and Tom's comments regarding twins.
Okay, I'm just trying to look at commercial. I'm trying to
Yeah.
think through why.
So that one, unlike the others, you don't see a reason why.
Well, I don't think we'd want to allow something that could be less. I think in the commercial services, even if there is one that is less than 5 feet for future construction purposes, I think 5 feet's acceptable. I don't know why I mean, there might be a reason, but I think 5 feet minimum in that district would be acceptable. Whereas in the residential ones, I see a case for maintaining the lots geometries in certain neighborhoods with different types of building types and residents.
And I think the building code is going to address a lot when they get too close.
And there are other requirements that would govern some of these dimensions. Sure. But really, again, this isn't just a general issue with our area and bulk requirements. It's unclear now. I think the proposals will make it clearer. Are we addressing everything, every possible, scenario? I'm not positive, but I know it's clearer than what's written. That would be my one argument for it.
What's a step in the right direction?
Yeah, it might not be perfect, but I don't want perfect to be the enemy of progress.
Well, it's not a significant change, it's just clarifying.
No, it's clarifying what I think they're already trying to say, or one version of it. So that's,
That's fair.
That's right. Waivers and variances.
It doesn't fit into everybody's.
Right, there's still, there's.
So this might be something to go forward next week.
Okay.
You think, it's not an issue with that? Okay. Let's see, back to my agenda.
Pedestrian safety.
Pedestrian safety. Sheila, you want to catch everyone up a little?
Sure. So we had a meeting with Will Williams and it went on for a little bit and discussed different options for pedestrian safety. What we came to was going to Borough Council and asking to do a sample at one intersection where Thomas is going to draw up what it will actually look like. And the hope is that all intersections in the borough that are not state roads, or many intersections in the borough that are not state roads, can be reduced in size as if we put in a bump out, but at a significantly lower cost using paint and maybe a simple patch. And we talked about getting community involvement. I spoke to the frat on High Street. We all made a lot of effort to move that forward, but what we came to is hopefully we can go ahead and put in at this intersection. No, it was not Matlack. Yes. Where are you going? Yeah.
You're there. Yeah, that's right. Franklin and Adams don't intersect. So.
No, it's Franklin and. No, okay, wait. Is it Adams and Matlack? I know, we kept
I thought they had daycare and some schools and some kids.
but it,
Adams, Matlack, and Franklin all run. So.
you're like, we're all naming the
They can't
same
intersect.
street. Mm-mm.
Is it this one?
I mean, I know that one, and that's not, I know that one well. I don't think, no, we weren't looking at Matlack. I thought it
Well,
was Adams. I'm sorry, I have it
No worries.
written down on another piece of paper. Okay, what I did after our meeting was I went to some members of council and they had no pushback. I mean, they had some very minor questions, so I'm going to continue talking to council members and trying to talk them into supporting this. I mean, they were so supportive that they were like, of course we would support that. What, like, why are you asking me? But I'll keep asking because I didn't ask everybody. The goal is to get something down on the asphalt to just prove that it will work. And from there, we can decide whether or not we're gonna get community involvement, people painting it. We can figure out exactly how we can roll this out so it can be consistently used and create the ability for pedestrians to walk into the street somewhat safely and get a better view of what's going on. Will it? Thank you.
Because that's the one that has the house. That's all.
Yeah. I'm gonna read it on this piece of paper too. Yeah, it's so we selected this location because we thought it wouldn't be the first place for community involvement to pop up and support an effort like this. And maybe the borough could just step in and do it without being asked to. And hopefully if we do this, we can then encourage maybe more involved sections to do it themselves and encourage the community around this to do it themselves, if that's what we're doing. And that the community involvement part is not necessarily my biggest push here. Thomas was a little excited about that, and that I liked it, but the goal is just to make it safe. And there's a bunch of bus stops here. There's a bunch of kids in the morning.
That's where I chose this one. Because there's all these little houses. It's in a less affluent area, and it's also basically a basic intersection in the borough.
Right, it's like it's 4 lanes, there's no PennDOT intersection.
Kids trying to cross the street now.
Right, there are always kids trying to cross that street.
Yeah, so Thomas started looking at the actual graphics and turning radiuses, what might happen. This could be what's been sketch. We'll use that as a guide.
I was on Ken Allen, Broadway,
Yeah.
Yeah, you see them all.
Little plastic ballards. When I say ballards to council, they freak out because they think I'm like, no, not those, totally different. So yeah, don't frighten them with that word, but.
Are we, so paint and plastic ballards?
Yes.
Has any other, so I personally hate the plastic ballards. I think they're ugly.
They are.
So, no, I understand. I'm just trying to, so they're required as they are, or is something required?
Well, I think what we're doing is, I think we want to get Thomas to actually put, once it's done, and we can literally see what it is and see.
Okay, then we'll talk about it. All right.
And it's basically more for the protection of the cars and pedestrians at that point.
Well, yeah, yes. No, I mean, I understand the purpose of it. What I'm trying to think is, are there other things that would be just as allowable that are better looking? Because I think, we just want to create something that people want to put in town. So I'm just, if that's all. Yeah.
But I agree, it should be simple, it should be clean, it should enhance the intersection, not detract.
Those plastic ballards, I was told repeatedly that, one thing is you can just hit them with your car, they knock down and they're really easy to reinstall.
Sounds awesome.
Which sounds horrible.
Defeating the purpose a little bit.
Why are we doing this? Putting these ugly things in the road so that you can hit them with.
They inevitably get hit, they get beat up.
Right, so,
Yeah, but if we can talk about it, I just want to understand.
I think I think where we are is nicely explained by Sheila, and then Thomas is going to submit a sketch and we'll start.
Sounds good.
He had done a lot of work on this with actually putting in the cement extensions of the little pump outs, which council is not as fond of, but this being something that isn't necessarily it's a little bit more this year yourself.
Yes, significantly less dollars and a lot quicker to start implementing. Okay. Quinty is not here. East Carter, attainable, anything? Okay. Sure. Yeah, because I think it's difficult because it's a big question and trying to find something actionable out of it. that we feel like we can help implement. And I think today's development that was in today, the ability to allow those two family, that's immediately going to improve the ability to get a lower priced house unit.
And that's as much as I have.
Well,
What would be the difference in cost?
he had previously mentioned while we were doing the sketches. I'm not saying he can hold this or not anymore, but I'll just use it as a relative. If a single townhome is like 1.1 million, right, as for new construction, one of the stacked of the two, he was thinking maybe a 6 or an 8 in that range. So altogether, there's probably actually more dollars to be made together, but there are quite so many kitchens, quite so many baths. So it's a little denser, more expensive build, but we're getting a dollar that's significantly less than the average new construction house that's going up in Chester County, which is crazy right now. It's all real. We need to start building 300 square foot houses or something.
Well, the next one, the next plan, 615, 613.
Mhm.
It's a little bit less.
Yep.
Because the ROA much narrower.
And the units are right size. They're very modest. Units.
They have to get them in there.
Yeah.
It's good.
And I think those cottage courts are an excellent way to get high density, low square footage. I think Shirley talked about older single women.
Yeah, I'm ready to take, I'm like, oh, I'm moving, I'll go.
There you go.
Hey, you guys are gonna go.
Okay, so any comments from any planning commission? Left?
I was just gonna bring up that I did see. I can't remember. Work session. They opened it up and there's questions or comments or overwhelming number of especially students declaring their anxiety over the housing situation.
Sure.
Non-percent for constantly fixing. It's not one of a issue. Clearly, it's a big issue. And it's an interesting thing. Listen to these people. They were very
They did a great job.
respectful, yeah, great, they got to the point and it's kind of.
Sure. Yeah, I did. I really appreciate the fact that they made an effort, showed up, participated. I thought they did all of them did a great job.
That was at the work session of the council. Then they showed up for the hearing for WC master plan too. They didn't speak. There was probably 10 or 12, 18 to 24-year-old.
They're great.
This one with the meeting, electronics as well.
Yeah.
It's the issue, how many colleges study require students to spend 2 years.
Yeah.
At least 2 years. Year, freshman year. See you later.
And I don't understand. I mean, when you look at the dollars to park in the university's lots, I think it's $30 a year. To park in the garage, it's $200. So they're not paying the $200. But if you look at the end lot right here and the adjacent and the parking structure, there is a lot of parking that sits empty a lot of time.
Yeah, that's not sure. It's $30 a year too. Everything.
This one is, yeah, I was talking, I'm sorry, I was referring to these guys, the ones up here on Sharpless and the ones that were underutilized from the report. But you would think if something were happening.
Well, where is the comparison? What is a good puzzle? Lower the rate from 200.
Well, you think with the tuition, you go, hey, park here.
Yeah, I mean, it's just. It's very
But there's a lot of discussion also about the fact that there was such a amount of parking spots there. And just in the north, almost 800 unused parking spots. Where, and the only, if they did all the construction, they only had 64. They'd only take about 64. It was either 400 or
Parking for campus.
just the north campus, what's what they have up here. South campus had like 1,000 more spots.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, Darrell,
The traffic study was only done Tuesday through Thursday,
correct.
so I'm not sure when the parking study was done.
I mean, and the thing in Borough Point was they have the whole state parking lot there. And when you get down to South Campus, if they really talk about parking available, you can really climb up the numbers there. That's not the concern. No one's parking good. So anyway, I think we're good for tonight and we'll see everybody next Monday. Meeting adjourned.
Business 10 o'clock, which gives them